Welcome to TT-Buddhism, where we explore the timeless wisdom of Buddhist teachings to cultivate peace, mindfulness, and self-discovery. In today's fast-paced world, loneliness has become an increasingly common experience. Many people feel disconnected, not only from others, but also from themselves. Despite being surrounded by technology and social media, a deep sense of isolation still lingers. But what if loneliness isn't just about the absence of people? What if it is actually a call to reconnect with something deeper within? In this video, we will explore the Buddhist perspective on loneliness and solitude. While loneliness is often seen as a source of suffering, solitude, when embraced mindfully, can become a path to self-discovery and inner peace. Buddhism teaches us that our suffering does not come from being alone, but from how we perceive aloneness. By understanding the nature of suffering, interconnectedness, and the power of mindfulness, we can transform loneliness into a meaningful journey of spiritual growth. Have you ever felt alone, even when surrounded by people? Or have you ever experienced a moment of solitude that brought you unexpected peace? In this video, we will share profound insights and practical Buddhist teachings to help you navigate loneliness, embrace solitude, and build meaningful connections. Stay with us as we uncover the wisdom that can help you find inner peace, connection, and a balanced life. If you enjoy content like this, consider subscribing to TT-Buddhism for more teachings on mindfulness, self-discovery, and spiritual growth. Now, let's begin this journey together. Loneliness versus solitude. Understanding the difference. Loneliness and solitude may seem like two sides of the same coin, but in reality, they are vastly different experiences. Loneliness is often associated with a sense of emptiness, isolation, and disconnection. It is not simply the absence of social interaction, but rather a deep emotional longing that stems from feeling separate from others and even from oneself. Many people assume that being alone equates to loneliness, but this is a misunderstanding. Loneliness is not about physical isolation. It is a state of mind. Even in a crowded room, one can feel profoundly alone if there is a lack of meaningful connection. The causes of loneliness vary, but in modern society it has become more prevalent due to several factors. The rise of technology and social media, while designed to bring people closer, has ironically led to greater disconnection. Digital interactions often replace genuine human connection, leaving individuals feeling empty despite constant online engagement. Furthermore, many people seek external validation to feel worthy, relying on others to define their self-worth. When these expectations are not met, feelings of loneliness intensify. Additionally, the fear of being alone can cause people to remain in unhealthy relationships or constantly seek distractions, avoiding the discomfort of solitude. On the other hand, solitude is a completely different experience, one that, when embraced mindfully, can become a source of inner peace and self-discovery. Unlike loneliness, which arises from a feeling of lack, solitude is a chosen state of being alone that brings clarity and introspection. In solitude, one is not longing for external validation or companionship, but instead finding fulfillment within. It is a sacred space where one can reconnect with oneself, reflect on thoughts, and cultivate mindfulness. In Buddhist teachings, solitude is often seen as an opportunity for self-awareness and spiritual growth, a moment to silence the external noise and listen to the inner wisdom within. Many great thinkers, philosophers, and spiritual leaders, including Gautama Buddha, have sought solitude to deepen their understanding of life. Before his enlightenment, the Buddha spent years in isolation, meditating and contemplating the nature of suffering and existence. Through solitude, he was able to transcend worldly attachments and discover profound truths about the mind and the path to liberation. In Buddhist practice, monks and nuns often retreat into the forests or monasteries, seeking solitude not as an escape from the world, but as a means to gain deeper insight into themselves and reality. However, solitude does not mean avoiding human interaction altogether. Instead, it is about finding balance, learning to be comfortable in one's own company while still cultivating meaningful relationships. When solitude is approached with mindfulness, it fosters self-sufficiency, resilience, and a deeper understanding of one's emotions. It allows individuals to become more present, grateful, and content, no longer relying on external circumstances to dictate their happiness. Ultimately, the difference between loneliness and solitude lies in perception. Loneliness is feeling disconnected despite being surrounded by people, while solitude is feeling whole even when alone. By shifting our mindset and embracing solitude as a practice of self-discovery, we can transform loneliness into a powerful journey of inner peace and self-acceptance. The Four Noble Truths and loneliness as a form of suffering. In Buddhist teachings, suffering, dukkha, is recognized as an inescapable part of human existence. The Buddha's Four Noble Truths provide a framework for understanding the nature of suffering, its causes, and the path to liberation. Loneliness, often experienced as emotional pain and disconnection, is one form of dukkha that many struggle with. However, by applying the Four Noble Truths, we can learn to see loneliness not as an unbearable burden, but as a teacher guiding us toward inner transformation. The first noble truth states that suffering is an inherent part of life. This suffering is not limited to physical pain, but also includes mental and emotional distress, such as loneliness. Many people try to deny or resist loneliness, believing that it is something to be avoided at all costs. However, Buddhism teaches that acknowledging suffering is the first step toward overcoming it. When we accept loneliness as a part of life, rather than fearing it, we can begin to approach it with wisdom rather than resistance. The second noble truth identifies the cause of suffering as tanha, craving or attachment. In the case of loneliness, this craving manifests as an intense longing for companionship, external validation, or distraction from being alone. When we rely on relationships to give us a sense of worth, we place our happiness in external conditions rather than cultivating inner stability. Similarly, when we fear solitude and try to escape it through endless distractions, such as social media, constant entertainment, or unhealthy attachments, we amplify our suffering. Buddhism teaches that clinging to relationships out of fear or neediness does not create true connection. Instead, it deepens feelings of inadequacy and dependency. The third noble truth brings hope. Suffering can cease. This does not mean eliminating loneliness entirely, but rather transforming our relationship with it. By releasing attachment to craving and aversion, we free ourselves from the belief that we must always be surrounded by others to feel complete. This state of liberation, known as nirvana, is not an escape from life, but a transformation in how we relate to it. When we no longer see solitude as an enemy, but as an opportunity for self-discovery, we naturally begin to experience peace instead of pain. The fourth noble truth presents the path to overcoming suffering, the Noble Eightfold Path. This path offers practical steps for cultivating a balanced and mindful approach to loneliness. Right understanding helps us see that loneliness is not an inherent flaw in our lives, but a temporary experience shaped by our mind. Right effort encourages us to replace negative thoughts of isolation with thoughts of self-compassion and connection. Right mindfulness and right concentration guide us in practicing meditation, which helps us become aware of our emotions without becoming consumed by them. Through this practice, we develop the ability to sit with solitude, finding strength and clarity rather than fear and sadness. By applying the Four Noble Truths, we reframe loneliness from a painful struggle to a meaningful lesson. Instead of seeking to eliminate it, we learn to accept, understand, and transcend it, discovering a path toward genuine connection with ourselves and the world around us. Interconnectedness and the illusion of separation. One of the most profound teachings in Buddhism is the understanding that everything in life is connected. Nothing exists independently. Our thoughts, actions, and relationships are all shaped by countless factors. However, many people experience loneliness because they feel isolated, believing that they are separate from others and the world around them. This illusion of separation deepens feelings of loneliness, making us believe we are alone in our struggles. In reality, we are always connected to others, whether we realize it or not. Loneliness often arises from the mistaken belief that we are separate individuals, disconnected from the rest of the world. This perception creates emotional suffering, reinforcing the idea that we must face life alone. However, just as a tree depends on the soil, sunlight, and rain to grow, we too are constantly supported by the people and environment around us. Even in our daily routines, we rely on countless people, from the farmers who grow our food to the workers who build our homes. When we recognize these hidden connections, we begin to see that we are never truly alone. A powerful way to strengthen our sense of connection is through practicing kindness and compassion. One simple exercise is to reflect on the people in our lives, family, friends, or even strangers, and silently wish them happiness and peace. This practice helps us shift our focus from isolation to connection, reminding us that just as we experience joy and suffering, so does everyone else. The more we extend kindness to others, the more we dissolve the walls that separate us, creating a deeper sense of belonging. There are many real-life examples of interconnectedness that we often overlook. Consider the simple act of eating a meal. The rice in your bowl did not appear by itself. It was grown by farmers, nurtured by the earth, harvested, transported, and prepared before reaching your table. This meal connects you to the natural world and to the efforts of many unseen hands. Recognizing these connections helps transform ordinary moments into opportunities for gratitude and awareness. Buddhism also emphasizes the importance of community and mutual care. In the time of the Buddha, monks and nuns were encouraged to support each other, especially the sick and elderly, as a reminder that we all rely on one another. This principle extends to everyday life, where true happiness comes not from isolation, but from meaningful connections and acts of kindness. When we help others, we also help ourselves, reinforcing the reality that our well-being is linked to the well-being of those around us. By embracing the truth of interconnection, we realize that loneliness is often a creation of the mind rather than a fixed reality. When we shift our awareness toward the connections we already have with nature, people, and the world, we begin to experience a greater sense of unity, gratitude, and inner peace. Through mindfulness and compassionate action, we can overcome loneliness and open our hearts to the deep and ever-present connections that surround us. The power of solitude, a path to inner growth. In modern society, solitude is often misunderstood. Many people associate being alone with loneliness, viewing it as an undesirable state that should be avoided. However, in Buddhist teachings, solitude is not a sign of isolation or emptiness, but a powerful tool for self-discovery and spiritual growth. When embraced with mindfulness, solitude allows us to cultivate inner peace, deepen our self-awareness, and develop emotional resilience. It provides a sacred space where the mind can settle, free from distractions, allowing clarity and wisdom to emerge. One of the greatest examples of the power of solitude comes from the life of the Buddha himself. Before attaining enlightenment, Siddhartha Gautama renounced his royal life and spent years meditating in solitude. In the quiet stillness of the forest, away from worldly distractions, he confronted his fears, desires, and attachments. Through this deep introspection, he gained profound insights into the nature of suffering and the path to liberation. His journey highlights the transformative potential of solitude, not as an escape from life, but as a way to understand it more deeply. Throughout Buddhist history, many monks and practitioners have followed the same path, seeking solitude to strengthen their spiritual practice. However, solitude is not just for monks or those who dedicate their lives to meditation. In today's fast-paced world, anyone can benefit from taking time for mindful solitude, whether through daily meditation, silent reflection, or simply spending time alone in nature. These moments of stillness allow us to reconnect with ourselves, observe our thoughts, and cultivate inner strength. One of the most effective ways to harness the power of solitude is mindfulness meditation. By focusing on the breath and observing the present moment without judgment, meditation helps quiet the mind and develop a sense of inner calm. Over time, this practice reduces the fear of being alone and transforms solitude into an experience of peace and clarity. Walking meditation is another simple yet powerful practice that allows us to connect deeply with the present moment. Each step becomes a reminder of impermanence, teaching us to embrace change with acceptance and grace. The story of Mahakassapa, one of the Buddha's foremost disciples, illustrates the joy found in solitude. Known for his ascetic practices, Mahakassapa often retreated into the forests to meditate alone, dedicating himself to the path of awakening. He described his time in solitude as a source of immense happiness, untouched by worldly distractions. His life serves as a reminder that true contentment does not come from external circumstances, but from a deep connection with one's inner self. However, solitude is not always easy. Many people avoid being alone because it forces them to confront their emotions, fears, and insecurities. Yet, it is precisely this confrontation that makes solitude so transformative. By sitting with discomfort instead of running from it, we develop emotional resilience and self-acceptance. Over time, what once felt like loneliness becomes a space of deep personal growth. In Buddhist philosophy, nature is often seen as a teacher. Observing the cycles of the seasons, the movement of the clouds, or the stillness of a forest reminds us of the impermanence and interconnectedness of all things. Spending time alone in nature allows us to feel part of something greater, dissolving the illusion of separation. The Buddha once said, "The forest is a place of peace. It welcomes those who seek freedom." Solitude, like the forest, offers us a refuge where we can let go of external noise and listen to the wisdom within. When approached with mindfulness, solitude is no longer a void to be feared, but a powerful gateway to self-discovery, clarity, and inner peace. Building authentic connections. the balance between solitude and relationships. While solitude is essential for self-discovery and inner peace, meaningful human connections are also a fundamental part of life. True connection is not about seeking validation or avoiding loneliness, but about forming relationships based on kindness, understanding, and mutual respect. Many people believe that having a large social circle equates to fulfillment, but in reality, the depth and sincerity of relationships matter more than the quantity. When approached with mindfulness, relationships become a source of support, personal growth, and joy, rather than dependency or attachment. One of the most important aspects of building genuine connections is engaging with others with clear intentions and thoughtful communication. Being mindful of our words and actions helps create relationships built on honesty, trust, and goodwill. When we interact with sincerity and compassion, we foster deeper bonds rather than surface-level interactions. True friendships are not based on convenience or personal gain, but on mutual care and understanding. A real friend is one who remains present during both moments of joy and hardship, offers thoughtful advice when needed, and treats us with equal respect and appreciation. In turn, we must also strive to embody these qualities in our relationships, ensuring that we are not just receiving support, but also giving it in return. Compassion plays a crucial role in deepening our relationships. It involves recognizing the struggles of others and responding with kindness, patience, and empathy. Instead of approaching relationships with expectations of what we can gain, we should focus on how we can contribute to the well-being of others. Simply being fully present when someone needs support, listening without judgment, and offering encouragement without expecting anything in return strengthens our connections and reminds us of our shared humanity. At the same time, relationships must be balanced. While kindness and patience are important, maintaining personal boundaries is equally necessary. Not all relationships contribute positively to our lives, and it is essential to recognize when a connection becomes unhealthy. Protecting our emotional well-being does not mean withdrawing from others, but being mindful of which relationships help us grow and which ones drain our energy. Healthy relationships should encourage peace and mutual respect, not create stress, dependence. Community also plays a vital role in fostering connection. Surrounding ourselves with supportive and like-minded individuals provides a sense of belonging and reinforces the idea that we are not alone. Being part of a group that shares similar values, whether through meditation, shared interests, or acts of kindness, enriches our understanding of connection and reminds us that relationships extend beyond just personal friendship. When we cultivate a compassionate and understanding environment, we create a space where everyone feels valued and supported. Ultimately, relationships and solitude are not opposites, but complementary forces. Solitude allows us to develop emotional resilience and self-awareness, while genuine connections bring joy, support, and meaning into our lives. When we learn to balance time for ourselves with time spent nurturing relationships, we create a life that is both fulfilling and deeply connected. Cultivating inner peace, finding stability amid life's uncertainties. True inner peace is not a fleeting emotion or a temporary escape from life's struggles. It is a steady foundation that allows us to remain balanced and resilient regardless of external circumstances. In Buddhist teachings, peace is not something to be found outside of ourselves, but something to be cultivated from within. By embracing mindfulness, accepting impermanence, and letting go of self-centered thinking, we can free ourselves from unnecessary suffering and experience a deep sense of calm, no matter what challenges arise. One of the most effective ways to cultivate inner peace is through mindfulness practice. Mindfulness allows us to be fully present in the moment, rather than being caught up in worries about the past or anxieties about the future. When we observe our thoughts without judgment, we realize that many of our worries are created by the mind itself. By training our awareness to focus on what is happening here and now, whether through meditation, mindful breathing, or simply paying attention to daily activities, we develop a sense of clarity and calmness that is not easily shaken by external events. Over time, mindfulness helps us recognize that peace is not dependent on perfect conditions, but is available to us in any moment. Another key teaching in Buddhism that supports inner peace is the acceptance of impermanence. Many of our struggles arise because we cling to things as if they are permanent, whether it be relationships, material possessions, or even our own emotions. When we expect things to remain unchanged, we set ourselves up for disappointment and suffering. However, by acknowledging that everything in life is constantly changing, we learn to let go of attachment and accept things as they are. This understanding allows us to face loss, uncertainty, and difficult emotions with greater ease. Instead of resisting change, we embrace it, knowing that all experiences, both joyful and painful, are temporary. Letting go of self-centered thinking is another essential step toward inner peace. Much of our distress comes from taking things personally, believing that every difficulty is a direct attack on us, or that our happiness depends on how others treat us. However, when we shift our perspective from "how does this affect me?" to "how can I respond with wisdom and compassion?" we free ourselves from unnecessary emotional turmoil. Practicing kindness toward ourselves and others creates an environment of peace, not just within us, but also in the world around us. Incorporating mindfulness into everyday life doesn't require radical change. Small practices such as mindful walking, deep breathing, or even eating with awareness help anchor us in the present moment and train our minds to remain steady. Developing inner peace is like strengthening a muscle. It takes time and effort, but with consistent practice, we become more resilient to stress and external chaos. Ultimately, inner peace is not the absence of challenges, but the ability to face them with a calm and open heart. By embracing mindfulness, accepting impermanence, and letting go of self-centered thoughts, we cultivate a peace that is not dependent on external conditions. This steady inner refuge allows us to navigate life with clarity, resilience, and compassion, no matter what uncertainties may come our way. Conclusion. Embracing solitude, nurturing connection. The journey through loneliness, connection, and inner peace is not a straight path, but a continuous process of self-discovery and growth. Buddhism teaches us that loneliness is not a curse, but a teacher, guiding us toward deeper understanding and self-awareness. By embracing solitude with mindfulness, we transform isolation into an opportunity for self-reflection, wisdom, and inner peace. At the same time, by fostering authentic connections based on compassion and understanding, we enrich our lives with meaningful relationships that support and uplift us. Through the teachings of impermanence, interconnection, and mindfulness, we learn that peace is not something we must chase, but something that naturally arises when we let go of attachment and fear. Solitude and connection are not opposites, rather they complement each other. A truly fulfilling life is one where we are at peace in our own company, while also cultivating deep and meaningful relationships with others. Thank you for being here and for taking the time to explore these profound Buddhist teachings with us. If this video resonated with you, we invite you to share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever found peace in solitude? How do you balance alone time with meaningful connections? We would love to hear your insights and experiences. For more wisdom on embracing solitude and living with joy, we encourage you to watch In Old Age, Living Joyfully Alone. This video will offer further insights into how we can find happiness and fulfillment, even in solitude. If you enjoyed this content, please like, share, and subscribe to TT-Buddhism for more Buddhist teachings on mindfulness, self-discovery, and inner peace. May you find peace in every step of your journey. See you in the next video.